Well, we are here. We are live. Welcome, everyone. I'm Eduardo Vilaro, the artistic director and CEO of Ballet Hispánico. And with me is the incomparable, fabulous, nonstop theatrical artist that I just had the pleasure of working with during my career, Mr. George Faison. And not only that, you know, Tony Award winning. There's so much I want to be able to have a conversation with you about. But welcome, George.
Oh, thank you so much. It's so good to be here.
You
Oh,
know,
I should have started with hola. Superstar.
George,
Right.
when in thinking about you and your work and your trajectory, it's so amazing. There's so much there. We probably need about 2 hours, really, in
I
all
know
reality.
because a lot of people didn't know about our ballets and the things that we were doing that far back.
Yeah, and so I
I
wonder,
think there's 30 or
30,
21.
20,
31.
25, maybe 25
Oh,
years.
you said 90. You said 90.
Yes.
Or was it before then?
Was it before then? I have to take a look. But
So
George,
when they come in, when we see the other guests, well, we can we'll know.
right. Well, here at Choreographers and Cocktails, what we like to do is kind of explore all areas of the work and also of the
The
artist.
group.
So yes, little cocktail never hurts anyone for a good discussion. So for
Absolutely.
my audience, I just want to, before I continue, please write your comments, send us questions. We're happy to answer them. But George, I'd love to start with this question. You know, I right now I realize how many people helped me throughout my career and were inspirations. And I wonder if you can start with your inspirations while you were in your career, and then take us to how you got there.
Well, I guess like all kids that grow up in America, the TV captivated us first. Okay, to see those people in those weekly variety shows and all those things, I want to do that. I can do that,
Mm.
and so forth. It's up from everybody. On Sunday evening, the world came to you, and everybody internationally around the world, artists. And that's what maybe one of the good things about Ed Sullivan at that particular point. But I happened to go to, but like I started dancing at like 15 when I was just in high school, but dancing. So I went to auditions with, for shows and so forth. And I got um, which show was that? I think it was Showboat, the first show.
Oh,
Somebody had taken me to the audition. This is Washington, D.C. This is at Trinity Church, a
wow.
local group, the American Light Opera Company. And Georgia Engel from Mary Tyler Moore was one of the kids along with me. No, she's older than me, but she's one of the kids with me. But I auditioned, and I was just so overjoyed to be starting, with a company, but it's the American Light Opera Company that was located in the Trinity Church, which was the same church that the Kennedys went to back in the 60s, early 60s actually. And I would go over there and be a part of it and learn the American music book,
Wow.
American songbook. So it's like I was doing that and I was dancing and so forth. And then I saw a couple of dancers. They were saying, they were talking, oh, they should pay by the beret, jete, and things like that. I said, what is that? That language that they're speaking and so forth. But I was really kind of lucky in all of that. I kept pursuing, education in that. I went to Jones and Haywood in Washington, the same school that Cheetah Rivera and Lewis Johnson went to. Arthur Mitchell had an affiliation with all of that. So when I went to Howard University, I I started working. I became one of the Howard players. Started dancing with Louis Johnson in DC at Howard and so forth. Howard is a HBCU, and probably the most famous one because the vice president is from that very same school now. You know, but they've had writers like the writer of Beloved. What is her? I can't think of it right now.
Toni
Beloved.
Morrison?
Um,
Toni Morrison?
Toni Morrison was there. I didn't mean to miss
No, it's okay.
her name, but Toni Morrison and a great many scholars came out there. Jesse Norman went there. Roberta Flack, Donny Hathaway. So it was really a great school, and I learned a great deal. And later on, Felicia Rashad, Debbie Allen, all of Lynn Whitfield, all of them came through Howard University. So a friend of mine invited me one night to come to a concert by this guy named Alvin Ailey. So I go to the concert, and I'm sitting there. I've seen a couple pictures. The pictures that they had even moved me. So I was really moved by that. And the curtain rose on Judith Jamison, Miguel Gaudreau, Takako Asakawa, and I'm talking about Loretta Abbott. And
Loretta Abbott.
like, my God, my world opened up. I knew finally what I wanted to do, and college was not it. I withdrew and went to New York in search of Alvin Ailey and an audition that Arthur Mitchell was having. So, and it was a company he was putting together to go to Senegal.
Wow.
And I made that too.
Wow.
So it was, wow is right. Their dancing was Paula Kelly, Claude Thompson, Jaime Rogers, doing all of these stupendous works by Tally Beatty, Donnie McHale, and all of them. This has been, that was the whole mix of things that I had done and experiences that I had and ballets that I learned throughout my own career. Doris Humphreys, the Shakers, and so forth. I mean, so I was like between two worlds, in this world, out of this world. This is like long before all of the civil rights and so forth that were happening, breaking all of those barriers. But I was just a kid. Hadn't even graduated from high school until like 64. And then I went there, but I didn't stay, only because Alvin Ailey drew me to New York. And I came to New York. He wasn't there. So I had to start somewhere. And I started with Thelma Hill.
Yes.
Jimmy Truitt, Pepsi Bethel, all of them at the Clark Center.
You are serving me names and history for those young dancers out there. Get your pens out and take the notes.
But it's like, coming to New York was, like coming to New York in a golden age. We hadn't taken to Broadway until like Pearly, but that was that's when I ultimately left Ailey, and my Broadway kind of career started only because he had taken us to Africa and everything. I'd gone to Europe. I had gone, all over the world. And when it was time to go, not knowing, when it's time to go. I mean, the yearning, the inspiration that you have, nothing can stop you from getting to that. So if Alvin wasn't gung-ho with it, I mean, even though I was sad to leave and all of that, I had to go because I wanted to do, I told, Alvin said, what do you want to do? I said, well, I have a piece called Gazelle that I wanted to do, because being inspired when we took a tour in the Serengeti, in Africa, and had visited Kenyatta up in the mountains. So Kenyatta was the president at that time, and he was called the Lion because he defeated, the British and so forth, and led his people to freedom and so forth. So we met him, and we looked like him. So it was just like, and just like amazing. And, but all the time, Alvin maintained his company. We were black and white and Puerto Rican and everything, mixed up and doing this incredible work. We were doing Revelations, and this was his like 10th anniversary because I joined in '66, 2 years actually before his anniversary. So that whole world opened up, and I was touring with great dancers. We went all over and had a great time, but then it was time to go.
Right.
And I went to the musical Pearlie, and with Melba Moore and Cleavon Little.
Wow.
And Louis Johnson was the choreographer. So I got a job on Broadway and I stayed there maybe 2 years, maybe. But in between shows, I started working on a couple of my ballets. The theater, the producer, Philip Rose, let me rehearse on the stage with my little music at the Broadway theater, the Anta, which is now the Virginia, or something like that, on Broadway. And I just got the dancers, paid them. We
Wow.
rehearsed. And then I was big enough to rent a hall. So I rented the 92nd Street Y and had a big concert, got some reviews. See, notoriety is how you're going to get it. You know what I mean? Getting noticed and having something to say. And I felt I was so compelled.
And that's
to say
what,
something.
And that's I'd love for you to talk. What did you want to say? What was it that spurned your choreographic?
I felt number one, people didn't know me. They didn't know Black people at all. We weren't like overrunning Broadway or anything. And so that has been my approach to almost everything. So I did first a Gazelle as a prelude to Slave, but how did Gazelle in Africa really relate to me? And the Gazelle related to me was to me freedom. And I thought, well, what happened to all of that freedom? My experience. And America didn't know us. And there was no great explosion of Afrocentricity until after like 1968. And that's when, the riots and all of that and the Black awareness came. So all of this was festering in me until I left Ailey and did that. And that was like in 1970. And I did Gazelle first, and then I did another ballet on drugs. I mean, I felt that if we're going to do anything, we're going to tell people about who we are. We're going to tell people about what affects us until it gets broader and bigger, and then we can encompass the world, and we could say a lot of other things. But what was my world, and how was that introduction to America for me? There's the immigration for others. There was slavery for me. So that was the premise of my whole story. That the Gazelle that represented all of this freedom was the hunted. And then the warriors that were hunting these animals and so forth and living and so forth became the hunted. And the whole slave story started. And I did a whole ballet on the Middle Passage. So it's all of that. I wanted an edge. I wanted people to, go beyond who they saw, on the streets or wherever they were, or because we were so alienated from each other, segregated is the word, from each other, I felt that people didn't know me or didn't know my people.
Right.
So, but it was also, and that was all of, or that we could have romantic love, like with Sweet Otis. That, so with my friend, I asked Maya Angelou, who he was a friend of mine for a very, very long time. Later, after, I became a choreographer and Broadway and the Tony and stuff like that. It's like, the burning question was, how did slaves feel? And her answer was to that, and this was pre-Kente, Kukuta Kente, and all of that. She said, we weren't always slaves. So what was that life? And so forth. So this was a memory piece, and it was also a saga, a drama about being on a slave ship headed for America. And I wanted to have some sort of hope at the end. And hope has always been expressed. Hope is there for you always. So when you start out in your storytelling with, sometimes the most disparaging situations, I was always looking for the silver lining.
Yeah.
So the slaves mutinied at the end. So we were singing about freedom and so forth. So it was like Amistad and all of that. Before that, all of that history came out. And this was like in 1970, and that's Clark Center and rehearsing there and all of that. And then later, I did Sweet Otis, and we were in Delacorte. Debbie Allen, Gary DeLoach. Before all this is all before they joined the Ailey Company or Debbie went to Hollywood or any of that. I did the piece Sweet Otis, and they had to ask the people to leave the auditorium because of the music and the exuberance of the dancers, and because Clivon said, "My smile." So I've had all of that. Who I met as a company dancer, and they tracked me. Oh, he's improved this year. He's a little bit better, and so forth. So it's like all the way down the line. You could take it negatively or you could take it positively. I chose to take it positively and incorporate all of these things. So, and at the end of one of those performances, a producer by the name of Ken Harper came up to me and asked me, did I want to do a Broadway musical called The Wiz? And with that, I was able to do so much more.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And, career, movies, and all of the things that I'm doing now. And I opened up the Firehouse 20 years later, with my partner, T. Schnoog, and we have built this, over the last, it's now 23 or 24 years now or 3 years since his passing. So it's been like 23, 4 years now. And here I am. And you keep going.
I there's so much I can, like I said, I think I need 2 hours, but I don't have that. So I'm going to try to put stuff together. So
but when I came to you,
yes, we're going to get to that.
Was my relationship what was my audacity? I'm going to do a Spanish piece.
Well, I think that's what I wanted. What I wanted to say was that you said it earlier. You were at a time in the 60s that it was such an interesting breeding ground for the arts, for dance. And
right.
I love that you said, we were all together.
Tina. We knew everybody. Tito Puente.
Right, we were black, brown, right. White. We were just doing
everything.
Everything. And so when Tina asked you, I mean, how, of course it would make sense
No,
because,
but I had the experience of looking at it live at the Palladium and
yeah,
at those Spanish clubs that that was really hot and the music was hot and jazz musicians, what was that? Mongo Santa Maria, I knew lived not too far from me. Chico O'Farrill, not the son, the father. I also worked with him and on and on and on. Palmieri, Puente. It's all, all of them. And I met them in Beverly Hills on one of
right.
those
And
trips.
so that your inspiration to tell stories of journeying, especially journeys of marginalized people, it makes
Yes,
perfect sense that you decided to create this work called Cafe America.
right. And take the things that I knew that were true, and then those are things that I could observe from this culture that has been marginalized, and here we are in 2021 and looking at the piece. If you look at the piece here, we're striving for the same things. So the struggle,
Is real.
is real, and it's ongoing. And I'm so glad that we were able to make alliances, during that, because we've all gone through a lot of changes, but it then comes back to your very soul. And this piece really kind of speaks to the soul through the circumstance and then the music. And then I had worked with Ruben Blades on the Josephine Baker story, because he was in that movie with Lynn Whitfield and me. I choreographed it. So all of that. So it's like, but the Spanish culture has been there. We've cha-cha and mambo and merengue all through it, all night long. So it's just like, it was so much a part, and I wanted to do that.
Well, I thought what was really interesting, and I'm going to bring my two other colleagues, Jose and Pedro, in to talk more about this. I thought it came at an interesting time for Ballet Hispánico, both because I think that Tina had three men that she really we all had these similar stories also, but then also that we were at a time where we were moving away from Ballet Hispánico was doing very pretty, very
yes, they were
work,
wonderful, and yes, right.
right? And this started getting into, certainly it was one of the works that really set me and inspired me to think about, how do I tell my story?
Right. It's all about your story.
Just like you, yeah.
Right. So, I have outreach and so forth called the Respect Project that I've had over almost 20 years, 25 years. And it's that we, educating our kids, keeping those traditions and those rhythms, that food and music and everything, the art, all of that alive in our culture. I do remember seeing an interview when one of our reviewers said that wasn't so important, but that's the thing that lasts. Culture lasts, and our individual cultures, which make up this world, are the things that drive us. You know what I mean? That keeps us interesting. That keeps us alive, actually, and keeps people coming to the theater.
And you were
well. We gotta get back. We gotta get back there. But then there's always film. There's always the digital, aspect. So we can do a lot of that as well. But it's like, it came at a great time for me.
Yeah, and it came at a great time for the organization as well. It was a very loved work, and in looking at it now, it's true. It's like we're kind of still at the same place. There's this border issue that we're still dealing with. It was so interesting that when you looked at it, it was really starting to the heat turn up with the border crossings, and
right.
So it was
being discovered by the side of the road.
correct.
But so much has happened, and people, don't know everything. every aspect or how it feels. But there was nothing like it. No ballet like it.
No.
So it was just, and now I feel, that I think we could revisit that with Linda coming back.
I'm going to say, yes, absolutely.
I would like to just re-examine that and see where we can enhance some of that, and that the timelessness of it and the subject matter and all of that can only be enhanced at this time because of what we know and what we feel, and they can encourage. It can only bolster the things that you're trying to do.
Right.
Young Latinos are trying to, Latinas, all of them are trying to do and fighting for that freedom.
So I'm going to invite Jose and Pedro to join us.
Yes.
And let's talk about, here's Jose Costas and here's Pedro Ruiz.
Hi.
I feel like I don't need to ask a question. I'm just going to say go because we have such history here.
When I first came there
you
I was saying, well, who does the merengue and who does the merengue the best? Right? Right? Didn't I say that? And you threw back that hair and hit the floor. So, and we were, I know how to do that thing.
But I have to say, George, I mean, watching this so many years back now, I mean, after and remembering what you gave us, which is our thing, it's like this is the first time we have the chance to do our work, who we are, what we do, our culture, right there, Ballet Hispánico, and that feeling of belonging, not only in the institution because it's Ballet Hispánico, but also showing the work. Definitely, it's an unforgettable experience, but it's full of joy. I mean, I'm watching this and thinking, I remember working and getting this piece, when you were choreographing this piece, the joy that we felt. And on stage, you can see that. Each of us dancing or a thing. I mean, this is like a party going on, especially that second section.
Yes.
Right.
And very hard. And one more time. And one more time. And you go. And one more time.
Right. One more time. 5, 6, 7.
Faster.
Right. No, but I think that you accomplished a great deal. You introduced that. The real world, the world of salsa and the clubs and things like that, it exists there. People live that. And so to put it on the stage and have that line, and and then you had to have technique. You had to do all of those things. That's why I say maybe we revisit that again, because now you are older men. You know what I mean? There's so much to be done. The timelessness of it just speaks for itself.
Yes.
We have so much. There's so much more we could say right now, even to each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you've lived, and that's the great thing.
Pedro,
I would say, George, we're ready to do it.
Oh no, we are.
Maybe a slower version this time.
Come on, Jose, you can go kicking up.
Ask Tito's and somebody else to slow down, right?
But the important thing in also George was that the three of us, we are immigrants, so we know, in our own experience, what you're talking about, what is the piece about, because we are not trying to imagine something
right.
that we didn't live,
but also very different. Like you to a man, you're so different in style, in temperament, and even in your upbringing. It may be Spanish, it may be, it could be even Portuguese. It could be any of those things. but it's like you were so individual. And Eduardo was the young guy coming in. I know it, learning the ropes. That was your first ballet, right?
Of yours.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
So I'm wondering if we could talk a little bit more about. I think the audience would love to hear how maybe how we created the work. Besides George telling us the steps, I think there was a process there, and I don't either of you if you want to talk about it, Jose, because we even got to sit down and talk to Ruben Blades.
Oh, that was wonderful when he got
right.
here the rehearsal. That was great. Yeah.
No,
Well,
it's
right. I think, was I doing the Josephine Baker story then too?
I think you were.
Yeah.
Because that's where I met him. Yes.
That was during that time. I remember where some dancers from that was working with you. They came to the studio to work with us. It was a lot of inspiration. It was a very beautiful time. And, you know, meeting Ruben Blades, and then we have a tour to South America. We have opportunity to perform this piece in Panama, you know, and it was the Ruben Blades brother who welcomed us in Panama. So that was a very nice experience.
Yeah,
I didn't hear.
And his music. I mean, his lyrics in that song.
Oh, he was the president.
Patria,
right.
It's what really sets it off. I mean, if you're listening to the words, you're like, okay, this is exactly what we need to be feeling.
It was Patria.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Patria, you know, patriot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there was a lot of times that, you know, it was a heavy piece to dance. It was nonstop, and we were up for it.
I mean, you and me was dancing.
That's right. And a lot of the times, you know, for me, I was like, the words, listening to the lyrics, it really kept me going. I was like, okay, we gotta say this. We gotta be part of this. And so the music was very powerful.
Absolutely. And I'm sorry, Pedro, you're going to say something?
There was a story behind. There was a story behind the crossing the border. Right, you know, I remember crossing the river when we were doing movement, and we arrived. You know, I was the first one going to the floor.
Like rolling over on the shore,
and then
rolling over on the shore, and you were
the immigration, you know, start calling. You're right to blah 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 blah. So we start running.
And George Faison's voice going, Toro, Toro. That was you, George.
We had a great time. That really was a great time. That was really.
It was a great time, George. But, you know, the process, learning this, I remember at times it's usually Eduardo asks us what do we learn from the choreographers at times, right? And I'm thinking one of the things that I learned working with you, it was pretty much, okay, don't marry any section of the ballet that has been taught. You need to be open to maybe tossing something, and the next day will be something new there for us. But definitely you keep us on our toes all the time. Every time you would come on rehearsal, there were some little changes here and there, but it was an amazing time, an amazing experience working with you. Definitely.
But see, oh God, where did I go? But you were so interesting in that you were all so different. You know what I mean? Yes, Eduardo was the young guy, and you Pedro was so classical in a sense.
I don't want to call you the name you call me.
Well, now your studio audience is going to.
No, they may learn something. A few terms of endearment.
A grumber saying to the floor, please.
That grumber say to the floor. Yikes.
But Jose, what did you feel? What did you know, like only because I felt that you were the most classically trained. Right?
Me, Pedro, or you're talking to Pedro, or you're talking to me? Pedro.
Yes. I think
Go ahead, Pedro.
You did very so well to bring the best of the three of us, because the two of us are completely different, but at the same time together we work so well together. but you know, more each of us have you know, a very different type of strength in dance.
Right, but I was really actually talking to Jose. I'm
All
sorry.
right.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
Okay.
I'm saying, you know,
I didn't know that it was the most classical.
But for his classicism and because of his kind of carriage, you know, and so it depending on how generous we are with each other, you know, the extent of where we can go. That depends on how far we can take each other on that ride. How dynamic, how true to those forms and shapes that we could be. I know it was long and arduous and so forth. And but then I got a little bit more. I have a more craft as far as that is concerned as well, because you must remember that I was also learning at the very, very same time.
No, but
you were teaching me as well.
But I have to say, what I felt through the process and in the ballet in itself, first of all, pride. Come on. I mean, we are telling our story. You're telling our story with our input, actually. It wasn't only from one side, but with our input. And we all had different stories, but they were very similar. I mean, I was coming from Puerto Rico, and Pedro was coming from come from Cuba, and Eduardo is also Cuban. I don't know if you were born in the United States, but we had different stories. But definitely applies to all of us. In my case, coming to United States for new opportunities in dance specifically, and now I am in California working. But what I'm saying, we all been successful coming in. So, in one of the things that you bring there, it's how these immigrants come. And then even though we have the struggles at the beginning, we do succeed. So it's a great story. And for me, it was amazing. And to see it again, it was incredible. So thank you for giving us that.
I got to see, I'm going to put it, I have a DVD. I'm going to put it on tonight. I haven't seen it. I'd love to see it with you guys, though.
Yeah, I think we should do a watch party just here, and we can talk about the pieces. But you know, I think that there's a lot that it took. It takes a choreographer or anyone who's creating a work to it's a harder thing to be able to understand the differences of the three and thread them together. I think that was and then to me, I think this work cemented us. We are all three very different people, but at that time, and again, I speak for me, you know, I trusted these two gentlemen.
Yes.
I knew that
you were the baby.
But I knew that they were also interested in this same vision of what this company offered. And I could trust that no matter how different we were. And so this kind of gelled it even more for me as we moved on to other things. And, you know, we went on to dance together for so long. Really helped cement that and build something really powerful because of this story. And Linda, I was speaking to her today, and she was going to try to make it and to see it. But Linda told me, you know, as a young dancer, before she started working in the company, she would watch rehearsals. She would sit on the floor, if you guys remember, and she would watch these rehearsals and say, this is what I want to do, because it gave her story as well.
Absolutely.
So that's the power not only of the arts, but of the choreographer and the craft maker.
So when we went on to do Selena, she was supposed to be the lead.
Yes.
And that was 2 weeks before she joined Ailey.
Yeah.
And then, but we went on to do what we did. That was Shadrach as well. And Victoria.
Victoria, yes.
Victoria, yes.
These were fiery personalities, you know. So, you know, and it was like, I guess if we had continued to go on, you know, because when you see the great flamenco dancers, and when you see all of those people who have been in Spanish dance or dance of that nature, they are so what is that? Invested.
Right.
in bringing and doing and showing. You know what I mean? Their, you know, what they feel, their passion, their compassion, their empathy, all of that. And then because they're so they are emotional. And that's what you have to have if you're gonna even deal with the stage. We need a lot of that. We need a lot of that.
I think was
Now,
George was also very. We just follow up what you say. That it's very important also that we don't need to try to pretend to be somebody else. We know
Right.
our story and we know who we are.
You have so much.
You
So
know,
much.
and we know how we hear. You know what I mean? So we don't try to create anything. We live that story. Yeah,
and I think you can tell
Right. And
by the
that's
dramatics and the, I mean, the what people could say with our portrait of these characters, it's real. It's real. So it's not, we're not, like you said, we're not doing anything. You can see the emotions as we play the music, listen to the music and the choreography in the three of us, which I thought that was amazing to watch how each of you had, you know, their emotion pour out, and you can see it through the movement too, but also in you can tell.
Yes.
But also the three of us were immigrants. You know, we came in different, you know, time to the United States, but we came here for that dream. You know, we are looking for that dream of looking America. You know, so Eduardo is the youngest one who came to the United States.
But guys, that was a dream to dance.
Mm-hmm.
Now, not everybody comes to this city, you know, with a dream to dance.
Yeah.
And to have a career that continues like that. You haven't done anything other than dance all of your life. Whether you're teaching, whether you know what I mean, whatever you're Zooming, whatever you're doing, you have continued that dream of dancing. A man dancing.
Yeah.
It's
and
incredible.
Passing on to
what I
a new
started.
generation.
I mean, you know what our parents said? You're gonna dance. You know, our parents were like, "What? Oh, you're gonna dance?" Jesus.
So, you know, it's so, I think this is so beautiful because we started with your the influence that you had as a young person, both societal and the people you worked with. You know, both Pedro and Jose, we all are choreographers. And so there's kind of this continuously passing down of working and saying your truth. Pedro, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about how, you know, this work or the work with Ballet Hispánico really also led you to choreography, to speaking to your truth. And Jose also, if you want to mention something.
Well, absolutely. You know, come to Ballet Hispánico for me back in 1985. You know, was like a completely open eyes for me and a great opportunity. And knowing that one of my first work that year was with Talibiri, you know.
Oh, wow. Yes.
So 1985. So that was my welcome to Ballet Hispánico, Talibiri. So that was already, you know, the great, you know, I couldn't, at that time didn't speak the language, but he called me Romeo. He fell in love with me as Romeo. So I learned all his vocabulary and it was great. It was a completely open eyes for me and opportunity until I have the time to also that I want to express myself. You know, I have a great opportunity to dance Ballet Hispánico for 21 years and create and work with so many diversity of choreographers. You know that, and then there was a time when I said, you know, it's time for me to talk, to have my own story.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
So and being in a process with so many masters, just like you know, choreographers that we all learn so much. So so for me, it was very important, and I think that, in some way or another, we have influence of all of you, you know, in our work.
Absolutely.
I agree with Pedro. I mean, the time that I spent at Ballet Hispánico, almost 10 years there, it was pretty much an education for everything. because working with the different choreographers, working with Tina, number one, as at the very beginning, Ballet Hispánico felt a home for all of us. Anybody that was a Latino, or non-Latinos, but especially for Latinos, it was a home for us. So being given this opportunity to come to this home that is Ballet Hispánico, that really appreciates our culture, right? And not every company will do the same thing. Maybe I was not even right for any company because I was Puerto Rican, but I was perfect for Ballet Hispánico. But you know what I'm saying? But
you had it on your face. It was on your face. Your heritage. You understand what I mean? And because Eduardo is another kind, because he's younger. He's like really New York. And of course, then you're Cuban. You're going to be Cuban, and all of that. That brings so many things.
Right.
That brings so many things, guys. It brought so many things.
It did. So I remember how
so many things.
Preparing for rehearsal with you, George, was always something because I didn't know where we were going to start. But you always brought some a new inspiration to the process constantly. And I love the guys. You remember? I mean, Osario, Pepón Osario did the Volkswagen. I mean, he's a brilliant
artist. And a couple and the stools.
Yeah.
So talk about, we talked today about, the need for, our BIPOC community to come together. We've been doing this for some time. It's only now that generations are saying, we need
only now it's necessary that we can't survive without each other.
Exactly.
You're absolutely right.
But we've been doing it, so we need to keep doing it and supporting each other in that sense. Because there's beauty there.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, that's real survival and holding on to that heritage, holding on to all of that we learn, because then you're gonna pass it off to the kids, and that's going to be their apprenticeship. They're gonna know because you know so much, and that's a part of it. Explaining that, and we are all different. We come from such diverse backgrounds and how we got here. But again, we were men in search of dancing.
Right. True. So I'm wondering if we could just do some quick little questions, like Jose, Pedro, and even George. What was your favorite section of the ballet?
I want to say for myself right now would be the second section. That spirit of dancing and freedom after we arrived in the Café America was for me the best. I like the beginning, but that second section.
I wish I had seen that. Really?
It is free. It is just full dancing, George. It was full dancing, fast dancing, all these drums and brass and this behind with the music.
Are you talking about Estoy Buscando America?
Yes, that section where we put our suits and come in.
Yes, right.
All that section is just for me. It's give me the most, because this is who we are. We like to dance this much, but but the music in itself and the dancing for me, the best in my case, most favorite section of it, all of it. But that section I loved.
Oh wow.
Pedro, what about you?
I think,
you know what?
The whole piece is a journey. The whole piece is so much fun. It's because it's a clear story, and was so much joy dancing. When we start dancing, me and Eduardo, and all that story, and all the split. I forgot to split in the floor. Wow. That was so much fun. It was like we all was telling our story, and that was so wonderful, George. And also, I think as a choreographer, it's so great that you knew how to use the three of us and being the best of quality of the dancer. I think it's a plus as a choreographer, to really to have opportunity to understand who we are and create those characters, you know.
Eduardo, what about you? Do you have a? I mean, I love the ballet for sure, but
I love the whole thing, but I love that first section. Boom, 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 boom.
yes,
Boom, boom. And I got to partner Pedro.
I know.
we had so much fun doing that. It was like, let me do this and let's try this.
You know what? I had gone to South America and to be with Fanny Mickey. She has the school in Colombia, in Bogota. And I did La Casa de Placer, you know, the House of Pleasure, which is a little whorehouse in Texas, actually. But I went down there and went to a club. Do you know we did that? I did that same dance with a stranger. No, a regular club, and the people and the guys, the South Americans, were from Brooklyn.
Oh my God.
You know, they had gone back and forth too, and there we were in the middle of the floor, kicking it.
Yes.
Oh, it was deep. Oh, it was fantastic.
Well,
So,
I would say that Giorgio was I think you was very intelligent as a choreographer. The way that you give us, you know, you knew who we are, and you really pull the best of us in your piece. And I think that as a choreographer, that's a plus, very important, you know.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Oh, absolutely. Because I mean, I couldn't do it without you. If you weren't the kind of characters you were, and so different. That was the point. I didn't. It was easier for me to do, only because you were so different and in temperament too.
Yes.
So you know, you have to take, you know, it's just as much your what you brought to it. You know what I mean? And you have to bring something to it. It's not just steps, it's living. And you lived. So
you know,
it was just great.
we have to talk a little bit. Tina loved this work.
Oh yes.
She loved it. It was great that she brought it, that you and her worked to make it happen. But I know how much she thought of the three of us.
Yes.
And also, you know, what it brought to the conversation, as you said. So I just wanted to put that out.
Well, Tina really knows the struggle. You know what I mean, of being an immigrant and working your way through show business. Probably the hardest thing to do, because everybody was just wearing pineapples and bananas. You know what I mean, and doing, you know, that could be your idea, but there's a classicism even in that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Even in our stereotypes, there's truth in our spirit and what we do. And I think that's what should be infused. We should never let that go. You know, because you're gonna, you know, somebody's gonna see you.
Yeah.
Sure.
And and you're gonna touch somebody. You're gonna make them feel better about themselves if they're sitting in that audience, and you can affect them with what you do. You know, you become infectious. So what you do can wash over them and give them a whole nother look at life, at everything. It's, you know, like, I have done everything, and I have had the best times only because I've had you.
Oh.
You understand what I mean?
Oh,
As well.
you.
So I have had the greatest time with all my dancers, all of them. I mean, you know, a lot of them say, "Oh, how long is this?" And can he think of another step?
But
So
we work very hard, George, for you. We work very hard.
No, but And I work very hard for you because I want you to be good.
Yes.
I want you to be the best.
So I think we should say maybe take this that George, our ballets are maybe a little longer because he had too much fun with the dancers and he doesn't want to let them go. So he keeps adding sections to the pieces. Is that it, George?
Yeah. But he would dance with us. Remember when he would start dancing with us?
No, but you're opening up. You got to think of that as opening up to me and understand and letting me know a little bit about your inside, what it is that makes you really tick. Because when you find a person's joy, that's all you want to do is feed that. Sure. You know, no matter where that takes, because you could be the angriest. We could portray you as something else, but you will not have known you've grown to that space.
Right.
Yes.
If we don't step out on that precipice.
Yeah.
We don't step out on that edge and do what we have. The music is the soul of everything. I mean, it just propels you, and trying to find the right music. And if a section is not right, I know I agonize over it. You understand what I mean? I go through the same thing that you're going through. How can I make it through, and how can I make it better? How can I do this, and so forth and so on.
Right. I think that all the sections worked out great. You know, you created a beautiful ballet. So, you know, the process is the process, but what we accomplished together is amazing.
It was the process. It was the process. Yeah. And there's so much to add to that, because your experience that we could pull other, our younger, your kids into that.
Multi-generational.
Then they'll know that they, the best cure for our technique is do some of these old dances, and maybe you'll get some.
Oh.
Okay.
Hey.
Here.
Yes, cheers. I'm here for that. I am here for that.
Me too.
Try doing this dance.
Hello. George, I think you were as a choreographer very intelligent, the way you use the three of us, and you really push and bring the best cut of, because the three of us are completely different type of dancer, and how you saw the three of us together and was very genius. So I learned a lot, from you as a choreographer, and as a dancer, and the process and how you really push to bring us the best. You push to bring, for us to,
because you graduated to a whole new level, of performance, of ability, of technique, and all of that. Yeah.
But also, I think that you was open to listen to us. You start to get to know. I remember when you start doing for my part, the ta-ti-ta-ta-ta, the papa, the rumba, saying that coming fresh from Cuba, so you knew how to use the three of us so well, and that is very important for a choreographer. That's something that I learned from you.
Yes, the dance, right, and finding, and if you could hit that sweet spot, the dance will choreograph itself.
Yes.
It will walk right out of you into everybody else. That's why I love it. That's why, I just want to travel around now and look at and look at people and, add anything that I can to them. It's, because it's to give away.
Yeah. Well, I think you've been doing that for all of your career. So I want to thank you for that, George.
Thank you.
And giving to us. And I just want to hold this space of everyone here who continues to do that.
Yes.
I'm in awe of all of you. And I can't wait until we can get together and do this live and Kiki a little bit more. But it's
I'm ready.
Me too.
I think that even if we looked at it and with an open mic.
Yes.
I think we, you know.
Yes. Well, it's time for us to close. We've got a lot of great comments, but no questions. A lot of great comments. Everybody has been very excited to hear all of us, but in particular you, George. Thank you for your work. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. I so appreciate you being here. And for our audience, in 2 weeks, we'll have another watch party with the work of Tali Beatty, Caravanserai.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
So with this reaction,
I see you going back to the classics.
I'm going back to the classics.
Am I going to survive this?
Oh God.
All right.
Let me tell you.
That's a
Let me tell you. Tali Beatty's The Road of the Phoebe Snow would start. The music would start, and I would get sick.
George, I remember at the opening night of Recuerdo de Campo Amor, Tali Beatty was looking right. That's in 1985. He was looking out the window, in the
Wing.
the wind, and with his, he used to wear his jacket on top of his shoulder,
Yes.
and he loved more cigarettes. Oh my God, I have a story about that.
I know you do.
He was
Everybody does. But you know what? They don't know these personalities.
No.
They're so incredible. Yes, Alvin was great, but all of them were great. We had some great ones at that time, really.
Oh gosh.
Well,
And
I
my girlfriend, Graciela Danielle.
Graciela Danielle, yes.
I love her.
Well, I'm going to end with this this comment from Robert Calvin, who called this performance Café America. He says, it was such a joy to call this piece each night. I felt privileged to be transported into this world, this music, this choreography. I love the chemistry between the three of you. What a gift to see it again. Sending you the best of wish to you all.
Oh, thank you, Robert.
Oh,
That's so
thank you.
nice.
So great.
much.
I love Robert. Thank you so much.
That's
All
so
right, everybody. We're
Thank
close.
you so much.
We're done.
Eduardo.
We're done, George.
Good to see you, George. We'll talk.
Right.
Bye.
Okay. Jose, don't forget to call. Hey, listen, I need to